the cat and dog who built a home in a quiet little town surrounded by green fields and tall trees. There lived two very different animals, a cat named Mimi and a dog named Bobby. Mimi was sleek and graceful. With shiny white fur and bright green eyes, she loved cleanliness, comfort, and everything neat. Her days were spent lying in sunny corners, licking her paws, and watching the world go by. Bobby, on the other hand, was big, brown, and a little clumsy. He loved running around, chasing butterflies, and digging holes in the ground. Bobby didn't care much about tidiness. For him, life was about fun and freedom. Though they were neighbors, Mimi and Bobby rarely got along. They argued about almost everything: food, space, and even about who was smarter. But one day, something happened that forced them to face their differences. A stormy night, one summer evening, dark clouds gathered in the sky, the wind howled through the trees, and heavy rain began to pour. Mimi's little wooden shelter in the garden was blown away, and Bobby's kennel roof flew off into the storm. Both animals were left cold, wet, and homeless. The next morning, when the rain stopped, they sat together under a tree, shivering. "We can't live like this," said Mimi, flicking her wet tail with irritation. "You're right," Bobby agreed, shaking water off his fur. "We need a proper home." They sat silently for a while, thinking. Then Bobby suddenly barked with excitement, "Let's build a house together." Mimi's eyes widened. "With you, we never agree on anything." Bobby wagged his tail. "That's because we've never tried to work as a team. Maybe we can do it if we share the work." Mimi hesitated, but the thought of sleeping under the cold sky again made her nod. "Fine. But the house must be neat and clean," she warned. "And it must be strong and fun to live in," Bobby added. So, the two unlikely friends decided to build a home together. The first argument, the very next day, they started. Bobby began dragging big branches and logs. He stacked them up quickly, but the pile was messy. Mimi frowned. "That looks terrible. We can't live in something so untidy." "Well, it'll be strong." Bobby barked back. "Your way would take forever." They argued until both were exhausted. Finally, Mimi sighed. "Maybe we should divide the tasks. You bring the big, heavy things, and I'll arrange and design them properly." Bobby thought for a moment and nodded. "Deal." And so, their teamwork began. Building together, day after day, they worked side by side. Bobby carried heavy stones for the foundation, while Mimi carefully placed them in neat rows. Bobby fetched long wooden planks, and Mimi polished and fixed them straight. When Bobby tried to build the roof, it slanted and wobbled. Mimi meowed in disapproval and showed him how to balance it. Bobby didn't argue this time. He realized her sharp eyes noticed details he missed. When Mimi tried to dig the ground for a garden, her small paws barely made a hole. Bobby laughed kindly and dug wide, deep spaces within minutes. Mimi admitted, "Your strength is useful after all." Slowly, the walls rose, the roof stood firm, and windows framed the sunlight. The little house began to take shape. The garden of friendship. Once the house was finished, Mimi suggested planting flowers around it. "A home should be beautiful," she said proudly. Bobby wanted space for running and playing. At first, they disagreed again. But then Mimi came up with an idea. "Why not plant flowers on one side for beauty, and leave the other side open for your games?" Bobby's eyes sparkled. "That's perfect." Together, they created a garden that was half a playground and half a paradise of flowers. Trouble arrives. Just as everything was going well, a pack of stray dogs came into the area. They saw the new house and tried to scare Bobby away to take it for themselves. Bobby growled bravely, but he was outnumbered. Mimi, though small, didn't run. Instead, She climbed to the roof and began hissing loudly, throwing small stones she had stored near the window. Surprised by the cat's courage and the dog's determination, the strays grew frightened and ran away. That night, Bobby told Mimi, "I thought I had to protect you, but you protected me too." Mimi smiled softly. "That's what friends do. We protect each other." A warm home, finally. Their house stood ready, a sturdy, neat, and beautiful little home, with a warm fire inside. Mimi had her soft corner with cushions, while Bobby had his wide rug near the door. Every evening, they shared meals, told stories, and looked out of the window at the peaceful sky. One night, Mimi said, "I never thought I'd enjoy living with a dog. And I never thought I'd share my home with a cat." Bobby chuckled. "But we did it," Mimi purred, "because we learned to respect each other. And so, the cat and the dog, who were once enemies, became the best of friends, all because they built a home together." Moral of the story: true friendship is built on teamwork, respect, and understanding differences. When we combine our strengths and accept each other's ways, we can build something stronger and more beautiful than we ever could alone.